They poisoned this man with enough cyanide to supposedly kill a horse. He survived. Then they shot him. He survived that too. Then they dumped him into a frozen river. And according to the autopsy, the actual cause of death wasn't poison, wasn't the bullets, it was drowning. This isn't a legend. His name was Rasputin, and today we are going to find out who this man really was, how he went from a nowhere village to the heart of the Russian royal court, and why people were so terrified of him that they tried to kill him not once, but multiple times. Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin was born around 1869 in a tiny village in Siberia. Even he wasn't totally sure of the exact date, his family were peasants, poor, ordinary people. Nothing about his childhood suggested he'd become one of the most talked about men in Russian history. His younger years weren't exactly peaceful either. Plenty of accounts describe him as a troublemaker in the village. Fights, petty thefts, that kind of thing. But then something shifted. The story goes that he met a wandering monk one night and something in him changed. Rasputin went on a long pilgrimage, and when he came back, he wasn't the same person. He started calling himself a Startes, a kind of self-styled spiritual guide with no formal religious turning, but who claimed a direct line to God. And here's the interesting part, a lot of the official church clergy were suspicious of him from day one, because Rasputin had this strange philosophy. He believed that to reach true redemption, you first had to sin, a justification that would come back to cause him a lot of trouble later. So here's the real question, how does a Siberian peasant end up inside the palace of the Romanovs, Russian royal family? The answer has a name, Alexei. Alexei, the only son of Tsar Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra, had a condition called hemophilia. His blood didn't clot properly. Any small injury, any internal bleeding could be fatal. Picture that, the sole heir to the Russian throne in danger at every moment, and the doctors of the time had no real solution. Rasputin was introduced to Alexandra as a healer, and something strange kept happening. Every time Alexei got worse, Alexandra would call for Rasputin, and every time the boy's condition would improve. Nobody really knows why. Some historians think Rasputin claimed the boy down and reduced his stress, which may have indirectly helped since stress can worsen bleeding. Others say it was pure coincidence, but to Empress Alexandra it looked like a miracle. From that point on, Rasputin wasn't just an occasional guest. He became a permanent fixture in the royal family's life. This is where the story gets complicated. Rasputin didn't stay just a healer for one sick boy. His influence kept growing. Empress Alexandra trusted him so much that she started asking his opinion, not just on Alexei's health, but on court decisions, the appointment of ministers, even political matters. And when Tsar Nicholas II left to personally command the army during World War I, Alexandra and Rasputin effectively ended up running the country's internal affairs. A Siberian peasant with zero political training was shaping the fate of an empire, and the Russian people noticed. Rumors started spreading, some true, some completely fabricated. People said Rasputin was having affairs with noble women, that he was seen drunk in the streets of St. Petersburg, that he took bribes to get people access to powerful officials. Some political cartoons of the era even depicted him controlling the empress like a puppet. Whether any of it was true stopped mattering. The image that had formed of Rasputin was this, a corrupt monk destroying the country, and that image is exactly what united Russian aristocracy against him. December 1916, a group of Russian nobles, including Prince Felix Yosipov, decided Rasputin had to die. Their reasoning? They believed he was single-handedly wrecking the empire. The plan? Yosipov invited Rasputin to his palace under the pretense of a private gathering. According to accounts from the time, the cakes and wines served that night were laced with a massive dose of cyanides. And Rasputin ate and kept eating, and Nothing happened. Yusupov, panicking, went upstairs, grabbed the gun, came back down and shot him. Rasputin collapsed. That should have been the end. But when Yusupov came back a few minutes later to check the body, Rasputin's eyes opened and he lunged at him. The other conspirators rushed in and shot him several more times. He went down again. This time they were sure he was dead. They wrapped the body and dumped it into the icy Neva River. When they pulled his body out days later and performed the autopsy, the result was stunning. The cause of death wasn't poison, wasn't the bullets. The cause of death was drowning, meaning when they threw him into that river, he was still alive. Historians still argue about how much of this story is even true. A lot of the details about the assassination come from Yusupov himself, who changed his own accounts of the night several times over the years, which suggests parts of it were probably exaggerated or even invented outright. But one thing is certain: less than 3 months after Rasputin's death, the February Revolution of 1917 broke out and Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. A year later, the entire Romanov family, including Alexei, the boy Rasputin had spent years trying to save, was executed. Some see Rasputin as an opportunistic conman who exploited a sick child's illness to gain power. Others believe he genuinely cared about the royal family and simply became the victim of rumors and palace politics swirling around him. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but few people in history have managed to stay this unforgettable with a death this strange. So what do you think? Was Rasputin a healer, a fraud, or just an ordinary man who got swept into the middle of a collapsing empire?